Welcome to PDSX tutorial, how to enter a company part 2. In the previous tutorial we added in a company, Bart Slingshot Camp. We also added in 2 associates or contacts for this company, Lisa and Maggie. We also set the Retail Connect pricing and entered in the contractor Retail Connect pricing person who changed it, and that was me. We added in 2 default delivery addresses. Now I'm going to go over some more advanced functions in the company settings. And I'm just going to slowly move from left to right and go through the tabs. So the first one is this notes field. If you write something in this notes field, it'll appear as a line on the work order when you print it. So if you have something special, a one-liner that you want to show up on the work order, you can put it in there. Not necessary for most things, it's just on a special occasion type basis. And I'll show you an example of that. So if we come into the work order and we print a copy of the work order, you can see it shows up here, don't ship to Redmond, and it's sort of a one-liner type of piece. Not something you want to rely heavily on, but if there's a message that you want to get out there specific for the work order, you can do that. If it's something about a quality checking, there's a better way to do that, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Go back to the company. The next panel we have is company settings. We have a ship confirm work order state, and this by default has nothing in it, and you can set it if you'd like to what you'd like it to confirm to toggle the work order to when it gets a confirmation back from UPS or FedEx. So for this company, we want it to automatically toggle to say that it's paid online when we get a confirmation back from UPS or FedEx. And I'll show you how that works in just a moment. Some of the other buttons in here, we have proof waiver on file. What that does, if you have a signed proof waiver from your customer, you can note it in here so that you don't have to go and check each time to make sure that you have a proof waiver on file. The outsource vendor, yes or no. If this is a company that you also use as an outsource vendor and you want it to show up in your outsource vendor list, then you can select yes. That just allows it to show up in the short list for outsource vendors for when you're creating purchase orders. You can also enter in their outsource vendor number so that you don't have to go look that up each time you generate a purchase order for them. The tax rate is based on the tax rate that's entered in the preferences. So whenever you create a new company, it's going to use the default tax rate that's been set for your store. And if the company is tax exempt, of course, self-explanatory, you can set it as tax exempt and it would make all the work orders tax exempt. So for the ship confirm work order state, if we went to the work order and we go under the scheduling section, there's a shipping section here. You can see there's also a tracking number. When UPS sends back a tracking number for this work order, if it senses that there's a tracking number in there, when they click auto mark work orders, it'll go ahead and automatically close this work order out and change the status to paid to whatever we've selected, which for this company, Bart Slingshot Camp, we had set to be paid online. So that way the work order can automatically close itself out. We usually use that for dockman orders and other such functions. All right, going on to the next tab, email settings. This is where you can designate it to email validated work orders to the customer. You could send them to a company, to an account manager. You can also set up QVN for UPS, Quantum View Notify for UPS. And if you're not familiar with that, we can go into that further. Just give me a call. The validated work orders basically work on the basis that once a work order has been rang out, you would scan the work order in and save it into a common shared directory. And the PDSX is automatically able to track work orders that are saved into there and associate them, and if it is able to find them, it'll go ahead and then automatically email them. So if you've designated that you want for this company emails to be sent out with the work orders, and the work order's been validated and saved in there, it'll go ahead and attach it to an email and send it. The next tab is Account Manager Settings. This is where you'd set the account manager that was managing this account, as well as the district sales manager and the store the account's for. Pretty self-explanatory. The next one is packaging. If you have a special packing slip that you wanted to use for this company, you can select the packing slip that you want to use. Same with box label, if there's a special box label, and we can create special ones for you if you need one different from the original ones that we have presently. We can make a custom label or a custom packing slip. There's also a box label process and a box label threshold. I'm not going to get into those. Those are fairly esoteric functions presently. So moving on down to the bottom of the page, we did the delivery locations, and we did the Retail Connect. The next is special select pricing. If you have a price override for a specific item that you want to do, you can select that special item. So let's say that this customer, for 20-pound white paper, they pay a special price that is different than the Retail Connect pricing. And so we can select that stock itself, and you can see what the retail cost is, and we could say that just this customer it's out of the normal Retail Connect pricing range, and it's going to be 0.02 cents per impression instead of the standard Retail Connect pricing that we've issued under Retail Connect pricing. So for that specific line item, whenever it comes up in a work order, it'll override with this special pricing override. Tier pricing we don't use anymore, so I'm not going to go into it. Trade pricing doesn't get used either. It is available. Trade pricing is a volume discount pricing structure, so you could set up 1 to 1,000 is at this price, 1,001 to 5,000 is at this price, and so on and so forth. But we really don't use that anymore, so it's been discontinued. But it's in there and exists if we had a customer that came up and we, for some reason, decided to structure their pricing that way, which you never say never, I suppose, is the lesson to be learned there. So next we move on to machine custom. And this is where we can set the impression count times by the machine. So let's say that this customer's stock runs slower. We generally run slower on a specific machine for this customer because of their stock, like it's a heavy stock. We have lots of problems with it. We can adjust the run times different than the default that we would normally get for those machines in order to more accurately accommodate the runtime that we're going to get for that stock. So you can see we've got some samples in here for the machine DT6155. The standard runtime whenever this customer comes up has been set to 155 impressions, which is actually the default. And then the error correction is set for 2. And then we have an override here for 2-part NCR, where we're saying 2-part NCR is actually going to take 3 times as long. And that would only apply to work orders created for BART Slingshot Camp. And that's for the production scheduling piece. So maybe they have something special about their NCR, and you want to make sure that it records a different time setting requirement for that stock. So that can be entered in here. The next section, I'm going to stick QC, and we'll go back to that in just a second, is the map section. That'll automatically pull up an address for the main address of the company. And it'll get you directions, MapQuest directions. There's also Google Info and finance in here. Those are just extra fluff. It's not really that important, nor is it very often used. There's also statistics in here. Statistics show you year over year, month average transactions and monthly summary transactions for the company. And this isn't connected to the server, so none of those are displaying, but those statistics show up in here, and you can regenerate the data with the Load Data button. So I'm going to go back to the quality check list. The quality check list is a way for you to mark specific things that you want to take note of that are specific to the customer. There's 3 different places quality check items can be listed. They can be company specific, so anytime we do a work order for the company, we want to print out a special QC list that always happens specific for this company. There's ones that we can do under the template, so whenever we have a template that we create, and we only want a QC item to apply for that template. So whenever that template's used, say it's a specific binder that they're ordering, and every time we order it, we want to make sure that they do something special, like insert a CD into the back cover. We can add it to the template. And then the third place is to be able to manually just attach a QC item to the work order. So to attach a QC item to the company, that would be done here. So you can see there's 3 examples, and I could just add in another one, the QC name. I could call it ensure blue is not purple, which you know sometimes happens on our color machines, and we can put that under that would be under printing, and then we can put a long description. You know, there is a blue box used for the customer logo. It needs to print in blue and not purple. So anytime we put an order in for this customer, we want to make sure that that blue is not coming out purple. So by adding that to the default list for the company, it's going to show up on every work order that we create for the company. The other place that QC items can show up is going to be under the work order. So if I go under the work order and I am in here under company, I'm in here under the work order that we're on, and I'm not going to do QC items. Let's stop it there.